put a little bit of music on for us. Let me see. Don't get to acting up. All right, now it doesn't want to act right. Just the devil. Okay, let me close it out and see if I can find it again. I think probably because I closed this out. Here we go. Let's do it that way. All right, move it down. Is that too loud?
No, it's beautiful.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to another webisode of the Awakening Web Series. We thank you for joining us, and for those of you that join us on the regular basis, you know what to do. I don't even have to tell you what to do. You know what to do. Put your first name in the feed, put your last name in the feed, and let us know where you're listening and where you're watching us from. I am so excited tonight to have our special guest, Mrs. Toni Moore. Oh my God, I promise you, you are in for a life-changing treat. Not just a treat, but a life-changing treat. So take the time as you're putting your name, first name and your last name in the feed and telling us where you're from, please share this video. And while I'm asking you to do that, we're gonna do that as well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, there we are. All right, put your first name in the feed, put your last name in the feed, and let us shout you out. Okay, welcome to Ria. Love, 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 love you, girl. Thank you so much. Welcome, Raven. We're glad that you're joining us. Thank you. Thank you, Johnny Morris. We appreciate you. We're going to ask that you share this video. I promise you, you'll want to share this video with your friends because there is going to be some life-changing information that you're going to receive. And we're going to have a great time tonight with attorney and author and speaker, Mrs. Toni Moore, founder of Boss Up Radio. I'm excited. So give us just 1 second as we share. I'm going to share to some of my groups here. There we go. Awesome, awesome, awesome. We're going to be talking tonight. This is part 2 of getting to your divine next. Again, if you're joining us, put your first name in the feed, put your last name in the feed, and tell us where you're watching from. We want to shout you out. Even if this is the replay, I want you to put your first name, put your last name, let us know where you're from, and put hashtag replay. And I will acknowledge you at that time as well. So thank you so much for joining. All right. You guys like my music? All right. All right, we're gonna get started here. I don't want to keep you waiting too much longer. Getting to your divine next. All righty, all righty. Well, for those of you who don't know who I am, I want to introduce myself. My name is Sheila Reynolds, and I'm the founder of Wake Up, Rise Up, Live Up, where we help progressive-minded women of faith awaken to their power and possess the life they desire, they deserve, and that they are destined for. And I am one of the hosts, in addition to my co-hosts, of this Awakening Web series. Every Monday night, we're here on Facebook Live, just bringing to you some topics that we think will enhance your life, create aha moments, and cause you to have an awakening so that you can get to your divine next. So we're going to unpack a little bit about that tonight. And I want to thank those of you that have put your first name and put your last name in the feed. We thank you. We thank you to Rhea Hodge. She's hailing from Lower Cheltenham. And I've not heard that, Taria. Cheltenham, the women's group of Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Thank you, Taria. We love you. We appreciate you for joining us. We thank you, Rinya. Ria, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. You know my heart. Forgive it coming to my head and not my heart. Rinya Lumpkin from Perry, Georgia. Thank you so much for joining us. And I see others are joining us, and we thank you. My cousin Larry Mitchell from Chicago, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Rashay X Evans, for watching. We appreciate that. Johnny Morris, again, we thank you guys for watching. And we're talking tonight about getting to your divine next. Last week, we were on and we talked about what exactly is a divine next. We always talk about getting to our next. You know, there's a next level for us, up leveling and all those kinds of things. But what is divine next? Now, this is a Wake Up, Rise Up, Live Up coined term. So we're going to coin this. We probably need to talk to Mrs. Tony Moore here, and she can help us to trademark that or whatever I need to do to make that my word. She's going to help me to do that. But this is what I thought about when I thought about divine next. I want to hear from you and what you think about it and how it resonates with you. I thought about divine next when your life and business begin to take quantum leaps. Wow. You know, when we put divine on it, and when God is in anything, he's always going to multiply. It's not like this sequential 1 + 1 = 2. 1 + 1 may end up equal 50. You know, he says what? 1 day is as 1,000 years, and as 1,000 years is 1 day. So when we're getting to our divine next, we will find that we are taking and having quantum leaps. So what is a quantum leap? A quantum leap is an abrupt change, a sudden increase, or dramatic advance. Whoa, that's powerful, isn't it? We are dramatically advancing. We are abruptly changing. We are having a sudden increase when we get to our divine next. So I think we need to be about getting to our divine next, because when we are with our divine next, we are aligning. We are aligning ourselves with the purposes in which we have been born. You know, and there are things that we desire to. He said if we delight ourselves in him, he would give us the desires of our heart. So you don't have to snuff out the things that you desire. And there are some things that you deserve as well. So I'm excited about that. And I'm looking forward to having a conversation with Mrs. Toni Moore on tonight around that. Last week, we talked about the first step, being clear. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the second step, which is being confident and bossing up and understanding if you're living your dream life or not. So we're going to have some conversation around that. So if you have not shared this video, I want you to stop and I want you to share it, because somebody needs to hear what we're talking about tonight. So share this video and do me a favor. When you shared it, I want you to put in the feed, I shared. Hashtag I shared. Because I want to see who's hearing me, who's out there, you know, who's loving on other people. I want you to share this video. So thank you so much. So let's get into this topic on tonight. And I want to give an introduction to Mrs. Toni Moore, a deserving introduction. So let me get to her, because I promise you guys, when I met this woman, let me just say this before I read you about who she is. I met her for the first time at the Power Networking Conference over the 4th of July weekend. And when I went there, I had an agenda. You know, my mentor gave me an agenda. He said, Sheila, you're going with intention. You're going to meet people who you can feature on your Awakening web series that will make a positive difference in the people that are drawn to your web series. And then I want you to meet people that would be wanting to be sponsors at your event. So I went with that in mind. And it was the last day, Toni, that I met you? The very last day. We were in the bathroom, okay? I was talking to somebody else that I had met, okay? And I'm having her on the show as well. And we were just talking about a series. And Toni said, wow, that sounds interesting. And then I turned around and I met this powerful woman of God, this beautiful sister. I was just so thankful to God to have met her. And I've listened to her radio program. It's called Boss Up Radio. Every morning she comes on with some powerful, inspirational talks. I have been inspired. I have been blessed. So that is why I am absolutely excited to introduce you to her. So let me tell you a little bit more about her other than our bathroom experience. Okay, Toni Moore. She is an author. She is a speaker and the legal visionary of Legally Chic Services, a boutique law firm that offers savvy business and legal strategies to individuals, business owners, and nonprofit visionaries. Whether teaching nonprofit leaders how to make change possible, helping women learn business building mechanics, or sharing asset protection strategies, Toni is personally committed to empowering as many as she can, wherever she can and however she can. I like that, Toni. Prior to launching Legally Chic Services, Toni spent more than 20 years as a civil trial attorney. I know she doesn't look that old, but she spent 20 years doing this. a domestic relationships attorney, an adjunct professor, a legal coach, and as a senior financial fraud expert with the United States Department of Labor. And you can learn more about Toni, and she'll provide this information before you leave. So you got to hang out to the end so you can get some good stuff from her at legallychic360.com. And you can follow her on Facebook and all of her other social medias. So let us give her a virtual round of applause. You see those little clap hands at the bottom? I want you guys to give her a hand clap and help me to welcome my new sister friend, Mrs. Toni Moore. Welcome, Toni.
Thank you for having me. Really, thank you for having me. This is good.
Oh, you are so welcome. I know we're often so busy. We have such busy days, and sometimes it's just the press. So I appreciate you in the press. You know, you're a mom, you're a wife, you're, entrepreneur, all those things. So I appreciate you. And so I think I want to start off. I would love for the audience to kind of just hear about you and understand your backstory and talk about, where you've journeyed from and then how you've gotten to a divine next, because we'll have multiple divine nexus. Absolutely. And I know you've had many divine nexus. So if you can just take some time and share with the audience and allow them to get to know you.
Yes. So I am I'm from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It's a smaller part of Pennsylvania. Most people don't know what it is, but we have to remind people it's the capital of Pennsylvania. Yeah. So I'm one of 8 girls, and I always wanted to, I always had big dreams. My mama used to say that as soon as I could start talking, I didn't know when to shut up. I wasn't sure if that was a compliment or whatever, but I always was the type of person that I would see something and I would want it. And I did not get a chance to necessarily live in that la la land type of thing. So, I lived in projects, we lived in shelters for women, we lived in people's basements for a while. My mom was uneducated. She was actually, unfortunately, she was an abused woman. But, what I've realized is that she had some fire. So I was more like her. She had some fire moments, and then she had some sit down and be in still moments and fire moments. But I didn't understand like the fire and the be still or whatever. So even as a kid, I was like, okay, we got to do something. You got to get a job. We got to get Publishers Clearinghouse. We got to get off of welfare. Yeah. I was bossy like that. Right. Mm-hmm. So and my auntie was like, you always had an opinion. You always was trying to boss people up, so to speak. And I was just like, no, I just thought that if other people were doing it, then it could be had. I didn't believe that just because we were living in the projects or Section 8 or because we didn't have any daddies or because we ended up in shelter that we had to be stuck where we were, And then, unfortunately, I, like most people, would get discouraged because life happens. Reality doesn't necessarily look like our dreams. And so I ended up starting to be a lot like mama, and that I stopped asking, I stopped seeking, I stopped doing. I was very smart. I've always been a smart person, but with regards to raising my hands, I stopped raising my hands. I found someone's shadow to live in, and to hide behind. And on top of that, I was sexually abused and mentally abused and physically abused. So, I didn't really get a chance to share my voice. I actually would just whisper the answers to people. Oh, you can do this and you can do that for so many years. And then the divine always has a way of knocking on our door, right? So the first time he knocked on my door, I was at Milton Hershey School. If y'all didn't hear it, it's an excellent school for children whose parents aren't together. They have so much money. They're always looking for children. So I went to Milton Hershey School the last 3 years of high school, which was great for me because prior to Milton Hershey School, I wanted to just get off of the streets. I didn't want to be on welfare. So I figured I was going to be a hairdresser and I was going to be with a drug dealer. Mm-hmm. That was all that I knew. And then when I went to Milton Hershey School, I found out, oh, there's this thing called lawyer. I was like, oh my God, I want to do that. So, but for Milton Hershey School, I don't know where I would be. So I like the Divine Next, because when you get into position and you're like, I don't know what it looks like, I don't know where it's going to be, but sometimes God just opens and closes doors. Yeah. So he closed the door for the abuse and he opened the door for Milton Hershey. But then I almost got kicked out of Milton Hershey because my mouth, and I was angry and I was adultified. That's where, a child doesn't know her place because for so long she had to be adult-like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got a chance to work with a house mother who could take my mouth, and she allowed me to be a child, which was kind of hard, but she allowed me to be the leader that I was and helped me to calm down with some anger stuff, because she could have got me kicked out, and she just, thank God for her. So I ended up going to University of Penn. And University of Penn was something, I didn't know why I liked it. I just liked Philadelphia, So I just wanted to go to University of Penn, and I almost got kicked out twice.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was this class that I took, and I still talk about it to this day. Probably not as good as you could, but it was called, they introduced us to the Erickson's 8 stages of development.
Yeah.
And that's when I broke down and started crying, because I realized I was sabotaging myself because of what people failed to do as a child. When I was a child, they failed to cultivate me and let me see who I am and be curious and make falls and make mistakes and use my voice. When you're in the hood, you're like told to sit down, be still, shut up. Then when you're in people's basements, you can only go but so far. And then if you're living in a shelter and all 8 of you guys are in the same room, it's only so much you can grow. So I had the wherewithal, I had the potential, but I was poisonous in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Right? So when I learned more about Erickson's 8 stages of development, that's when I became more like, wait, intentional. Like, hold on, I'm about to get kicked out of University of Penn because of my beginnings. Yeah. So that's why I'm always thinking about, there's always a pathway, the purpose. So there's permissive will, and then there's progressive will, but then there's perfect will. And I didn't know what I was doing, but I do know that the whole time after Milton Hershey, I always had this dream, I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to make my voice matter. I'm going to write books, and I would speak that thing. I didn't know how I was going to get from where I was to where I wanted to be, but it definitely encouraged me and inspired me. So after the second academic probation letter, I was like, no, before it was optional, but then it was like, this is mandatory. This is where I need to be. I couldn't think of like, oh, well, if I get kicked out, I can go to another school, because all I knew about was the pit that I had come from. Yeah. So I was like, really, like, this is not going to be me. I got a chance to use my mouth, what I had learned to do, advocate for myself, talk to some professors. Everyone said no, but you know how God always has that ram in the bush, right? So there was a professor who was, he taught me abnormal psychology class, and he gave me one opportunity to make it up. He said, I'm going to give you 1 weekend to make up 12 weeks of work. And even if you get an A, I'm just going to give you just enough so that you won't flunk out. That was my sophomore year. And I was just like, I was on it. I shut down the boys. I shut down the black book. I stopped drinking alcohol, because I think somewhere inside there's a set point. Yes. And it was persuaded that I wasn't supposed to be where I was, right? Yes. But once I got a chance to show myself worthy, because all the time before that, I was on autopilot, and all the time before that, I was now cognizant of Erickson's 8 stages of development, but that implementation part didn't necessarily kick in until I got a chance to show myself worthy. Yeah. So I actually got, an A, because I was on it. I shut it down. And then I got a C++++++, which would allow me, now C++ is probably because it was an abnormal psychology professor who wanted to show me, okay, that his word was his word, but he gave me just enough so that I could get my whole life together and to pursue that dream. So, but from Hershey.
You know what, Tony? I want to stop you just for a moment, because you are saying some powerful things. Are you guys hearing me, or am I muffled, or is it clear? Is it clear, Tony?
It's clear. Yes, okay. It was for a little bit.
Okay, because I think I'm having some issues, because I want those that are listening, and we've got some folks that are joining us, and I want to make sure that some things are unpacked that you have said that are powerful, because your journey is amazing, absolutely amazing, and it's lining up with getting to your divine next. So I want somebody to write in the feed the first thing about getting to the divine next that I heard that Tony said was there is a knowing on the inside of you. You know, you knew that things could be different, that they should be different. Nobody told you that. You were around something that spoke totally different than what was speaking to you on the inside. So the revelation that I've heard right now is getting to your, oh, am I freezing? Okay, they're telling me I'm freezing. That is not good. Okay, thank you, E. Michelle, for telling me this. Tony, what I think I'm going to let you do is I'm going to let you continue, because if I'm freezing, they're not hearing me very well. Am I still freezing, guys? Am I still freezing, Tony?
Let me see. I mean, I see you on Zoom.
Okay, and you can hear me. Can somebody that's, okay, you're much better now. Thank you so much, E. Michelle. Okay, just a bit. Okay, wonderful. I want you guys to tell me if you can, if I start freezing up again, let me know, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Tony. But the most important thing I want you guys to get tonight that Tony has said so far is profound. Listen to me. When you're talking about getting to your divine next, there is possibly a knowing on the inside of you that may not relate to things that are outside of you, okay? Everybody may not understand it. They may be going in a different direction, but there is a knowing inside of you that you should follow, okay? So that's the very first thing. The second thing, and somebody write that in the feed, there is a knowing on the inside of you that may be totally different than everybody else outside of you. We're talking about getting to your next. The second thing that Tony mentioned was she began to speak things out of her mouth. Okay, she began to declare some things out of her mouth. She made up her mind. This is how things are going to be, and this is how things are not going to be. Okay, we're talking about getting to your divine next, where your life and your business takes quantum leaps. We're dealing with Tony, who grew up in the projects. That's what she talked about. She talked about a lot of the issues that she's gone through in her life, the abuse that she has gone. But now, where is she? Okay, attorney, speaker, coach, okay? So divine next. Put that in the feed, somebody. Hopefully you can hear me. And go on, Tony, with your story in whatever direction you want to go in. Let's keep moving.
So then after, you know, I got a chance to get out of that pitfall with regards to my second academic probation letter, that's when I knew it all clicked. Like, wow, if I'm in the room, if I'm allowed to be here, if I have the thoughts, then I have the provisions. I hear it in church, they say, if God will lead you to it, he'll get you through it. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know it before, but that's where the confidence comes in. It's like, okay, I'm always knocking at the door. So the whole time I just wanted to be a lawyer. I just wanted to help somebody. You know, I didn't want kids to have to go through what I went through. And I just wanted my voice to matter. It just felt like that's what I had to do next. So as long as I walked into my next, and that's when it felt like things opened the door and everything, you know. So that's when I ended up becoming a lawyer. And then 20 years later, I'm here. And it was different and difficult because I'm a first generation student, a first generation lawyer. So I was talking to someone and I was just like, it's really hard when you don't have a mentor, when you don't have a Mordecai in your life, so to speak. Yeah. But if you're aligning with the divine and you're like, I'm here, I'm not wasted space, I'm not wasting my time. This is what God has for me. He's going to use me. I'm an instrument in his toolbox. And my visions, my dreams is like leading me and guiding me to destiny. Then that's when I'm like, that's where you get the confidence. Like I always hear people and they say, well, I didn't really think that I could do it. And how do you get past fear? And and I'm like, look, when you look back over your life and you see where you came from, and you saw how you implemented the steps and how you had a vision. Like my husband is like, oh, I always like, we're getting rid of a pool table. He said, I always wanted a pool table. I said, you had a pool table for 10 years. Like your vision, you don't know how long the season is, but you can at least see it. Like for me, I'm a lawyer and I happen to be an author, and I never even saw a speaker come out. You know, I even talk at church sometimes, and I'm just like, okay, not sure if I want to do this, but here am I, because if people need to hear the story, because we're read by men and women, we're walking epistles. So I always tell people, I don't tell people like, woe is me, I was the project girl who was abused. I say like, look, this is where I came from.
Yes.
But I didn't let the beginnings block my destiny. And a lot of people allowed their beginnings to block their destiny, or their mamas in them. And what they have to understand is, to get to that divine next, you got to see it. You can't just decree it.
Yes.
You can't declare it.
Yes.
You got to do it, but you got to do it like, okay, God, I'm doing it. You're going to give me that dunamis breakthrough. You're going to fill me up. You're going to turn me around. You are not going to embarrass me. You're not going to leave me. You're not going to forsake me. And then what I'm realizing more and more is that when it's not about me, like at once upon a time, it was about me.
That's good, Tony. Let's park that right there.
Mm-hmm.
I know I may be freezing up, and if I am, I want you to take it from me, because your confidence, it's sounding like to me, it comes from your passion for other people. It comes from your passion for wanting to make things better than what you experience. So then you're bossing up, okay? And the confidence is coming because you have aligned to a powerful purpose and intent for which you have been born, which you have been wired for, which every difficult, challenging thing you've gone through in your life has prepared you for. Talk some more to me, girl.
Yes, absolutely. So I do like being an attorney, and it's interesting because being an attorney and then I'm in a coaching space, most people are like, oh, you know, like, oh, a coach. I mean, an attorney. Oh, some people are like, oh, I don't need to talk to an attorney. But I'm like, but if you appreciate that this is a game, and you appreciate that when you're birthing your business, it's spiritual warfare, because you're essentially getting past the set point in your life that probably stopped your mamas, probably stopped your daddy. You know what I mean? You have to get that breakthrough experience, because I remember out of my mouth, I had said, all I want to do is get to XYZ dollars. And then I got there and it was like, I was trying to get past it and I can't move around it. It became like a mountain. And so I realized, oh, shoot, I didn't ask God. I didn't say, God, bless me and help me and help me to use my mouth and use my strategies and help people so that they can understand and appreciate what the rules are. That's how I became a business law mentor. But more importantly, what I've learned in these 20 years is it's that mind thing. It's the mind thing. It's the mind. I don't care what area you're in. If somebody don't appreciate it's the mind thing, it's like spiritual warfare in your mind. You can get stuck. So, because sometimes if I used to get real nervous, but now I realize I'm full force. I'm like, no, I'm building this. I'm owning it. I'm sowing into the next generation. I'm going to secure this. You know, I'm using God's power, and we're going to protect this thing because it's our legacy. I guess maybe, and even Erickson would say, maybe because I'm getting closer to 50, I'm looking back. It's not about me anymore. I'm like, okay, what am I leaving behind? What is the legacy? What is the story? You know what I mean? What is my faith worthy of this? I want to be the full manifestation of who God created us to be.
Absolutely. That is absolutely powerful, because I think one thing that you mentioned that is so true, when we really begin to look at our time, okay, as you because you begin to realize tomorrow really isn't promised to me. You know, the older that you get and you begin to awaken to the fact that I really need to be about that which I was born in purpose to be about. And it helps to propel you past your fears, past your insecurities, because you're purpose driven. Okay. It's not, me and what I look like and what it's like, but I'm purpose driven. So that is powerful. Let me go to the feed and let me see if you guys are tracking us out there and what you're getting from us. So I'm just so delighted that you're here. We've got a lot of people joining us. Michelle is saying there's a knowing on the inside of you that has nothing to do with the external. Very well put, Michelle. Michelle, she says divine next. Taria Hodge says if God led you to it, he will get you through it. Yes. Michelle, oh my God, she said, wow, she's talking to you. Praise the Lord for your testimony, Tony.
Amen. Amen.
Yes, confidence comes from passion. Yes, and welcome, Trina Brown. We thank you for being here. Taria Hodge says, yes, tell it, Tony. I just love the expression because I'm hearing your passion as you type in the feed. Power and greatness is within the mind, says Trina. Thank you so much. And Michelle says, this is great stuff. I know. And again, if you're watching this video and you are finding value from it, we want you to share this video. And we're getting ready to continue this conversation, and Tony, in whatever direction she wants to go in. I know we talked about the dream life. However you want to continue, we've got another 10 minutes. If you guys have any questions out there, please put them in the feed. I know Tony has talked about a lot of things, and she's talked about her experience in getting to her divine next. She's talked about bossing up in terms of how we think. It's all in the mind. If you have some specific questions where you want some specific strategies or tools, type that in the feed and we can address those before we end. And hold on, because I want you to be able to hear and get some information from Tony about her new book and also anything else that she has coming. So hold on, share this video, and let's keep a rocking and a rolling. So go ahead, Tony.
Thank you so much.
You're
so
welcome.
Even with the divine next, like in my head, I was, my head is like, okay, what's the divine next? What's next for us? Knowing that, one is that we're promised to be the head, not the tail, and we're supposed to be the lenders and not the borrowers. So when I'm thinking about our divine next in business, even our divine next with people who are career people, people who are stay-at-home moms, it's like, okay, well, we're supposed to be the head, not the tail. And even Ecclesiastes tell me that money solves all the problems. Then we got to be smarter with our money. Right? Like I help a lot with my nonprofits because there's a governance issue and they get a sector, an opportunity to heal people's pain, So I tell them about, okay, there's the passion. It's great to have the passion, but you got to have a purpose because there's the people and everyone's got problems, but then there's public policy and then there's the purse. So even when I'm talking to the nonprofits, it's the same thing regardless of nonprofit or for-profit because God made us all problem solvers. Based on our testimony, based on our pains, the trials and tribulations, and we're supposed to be read by men. They're like, I have this problem. Can you help me? So as a soulful problem solver who is supposed to be the head, not the tail, then I tell people all the time, God can't bless mess. So, there's this thing called rules, y'all. It's a thing called rules that we can't ignore the rules, right? So, recently I've been talking to a few people because my passion is for us to shift from the pitiful to the more powerful. And we've been taught about being pitiful. We've been taught about having our hands out. We've been taught about playing just barely enough. But when we're powerful, when we step into that power, then we also have to understand that, Miss Sheila, you have gifts and talents. What are you good at? I know Taria Hodges, she's got her SEO gifts and talents, what she's good at, what other people are good at. And it's not about me anymore. It's more about, okay, I need a common sense that there's people out there who are connected to the divine, that's got the power, got the resource, got the knowledge to help me get to my next. And even with regards to the blessings, because I tell people all the time, debt devours every believer's treasures.
Wow, that's powerful. Say that again.
Debt devours every believer's treasures.
Wow, that's powerful.
So when I get a chance, because with this law thing, I'm like, okay, what are we doing with regards to our nonprofits? Do we have a stash of money so that we can change the legacy? Can we shift? Because we know that without a PAC, without some money for the politicians, you know, without money to solve the problems for the people, we're always just going to be in a pitiful phase,
That's
always
good.
rioting, always shutting down, but we can't really boss up without some money. And a
Yes.
lot of us still play small. We tiptoeing by faith as opposed to walking boldly in our business.
Wait a minute, girl. I forgot to introduce my little angel bell. And this little angel bell I ring every time something powerful is being said. Oh my God. She talked about moving from pitiful to powerful, right?
Mhm.
And you said that we tiptoe. Say
Yes.
that again.
Well, we tiptoe, you know, through our faith. You know, we
And
tiptoe because we don't know. We're like, okay, the devil's going to steal, kill, and destroy. So we don't know where to go. We don't know about the liars, the imitators, the duplicators. We don't know about the regulators. And then we're laying in bed with the wrong people. So we end up with STDs.
ooh, Lord have mercy. You better say it.
See,
Oh
and that's
my
substantive,
God.
and STDs is substantive transactional disorders. So it's a substantive thing, you know, and he can't bless mess. You're going to get that substantive transactional disorder, and then you're going to pass it down to your business baby and wonder why it's not growing, because you're going to give it SIDS, right? So an inspirational disorder. It's like it's supposed to grow, it's supposed to blossom, it's supposed to bless you, your children, and your children's children. But because you being pitiful in business, because you being pitiful in the pews, because you're not putting a purpose on your praise, then we wonder why we subdued, why we can't worship. You know what I mean? My God tells me that I'm supposed to be the head. I need to see it in my world. Closer to 50, I'm like, no, I need to see it, because the legacy, people are laughing at the God inside of me, and the legacy says, no, we're bigger than this. Even as a child, I used to knock on mama's door, we're bigger than this. We don't have to nibble on breadcrumbs. You know what I mean? Because no good thing is going to be withheld if we align. And the biggest alignment right now is to snack pieces of heaven here on earth in our business, in our families, in our legacies. You know what I mean? You know, we can't always be the laughing stock. We can't always look for somebody to affirm our actions. God has already spoke those things into us. The things that we desire has already been designed. We deserve that thing, but we got to be a blessing in business, or we're going to be stuck in our stuckness.
Ooh, you know what, honey? I have just given up. I think I'm just going to have to receive. And y'all that are listening, I want you to go back and listen to the replay, because there are so many powerful nuggets. Am I breaking up? I look like I'm breaking up, but powerful, powerful nuggets. So, oh my God, wait a minute. Let me see what folks are writing in the feed here, Tony, because we're getting hearted up. That's all I can say. We're getting hearted up. Oh,
you told me to let it go, so you was like, Tone,
hey,
bring it.
Bring it. Oh my God. Oh my God. E. Michelle says, wow, shift from the pitiful to the powerful. Yes, E. Michelle, that's true. She said, debt devours every believer's power. Is that what you said?
Treasures. DEBT. Mm-hmm.
Yep, debt devours every believer's treasure is what is being said. Doris Daniels. Welcome, Doris. She says, we can't boss up without money. Come on now. We tiptoe because we don't know. Amen. I love it. I love it. Snack pieces of heaven on earth. Awesome. So many nuggets, Michelle says. Yes. Taria Hodge says, yes, Tony is bringing it tonight. Thank you, Tony. They said, I'm trying to keep up with us. Keep up with you, Tony. I know. We're just going to all have to go back and listen to this broadcast. So this has been absolutely powerful. We've got about 15 minutes left. If you have any questions for Tony, you need to put them in the feed right now so we can address them. And I want Tony to, share any last thoughts that she might have that she wants to share with you. And then I want to give her an opportunity to tell you how to reach her and get in contact with her and talk maybe a little bit about her book. So the floor is yours, Tony.
Yeah, so I just want to leave when, with the nuggets, the 5 things, the 5 power moves with regards to just bossing up in business, right? So with regards to bossing in business, I always say we got to start with vision. It's always about vision. Vision. If you can't see it, you can't be it. If you can't see it, you can't achieve it, and if you can't see it, you got to see it. And it's not enough for someone to say, oh, I see you doing this. You have to see it because you got to step through to get through, right? So once you have that vision in mind, then I usually talk a lot to business people or nonprofits or pastors. So when I tell them about the vision in mind, then I'm like, okay, so you started a business, you got to make sure that you get your business right. You know, you have to at least put yourself in the right structure that you can handle. Now we have dream businesses, but we got to stay in the one that we can handle based on our assets, based on our people surrounding us, based on what we can do, because our steps are ordered. You know, people talk about leaps, but the steps is ordered first.
Come on.
Before you start making a business wedding cake, I want you to make some cupcakes in business, okay?
That's good.
Right? So you have that business entity that you can handle in the here and the now. And then a lot of people don't forget that we're supposed to plan, right? So most people do not have a business plan. I'm like, why don't you have a business plan? Because if you have a business plan, if you plan it, then you won't fail, right? So we have the vision. We set the atmosphere in place. We're like, this is, I'm